as much as I do, then this video is for you. All of these recipes are simple, have minimal ingredients and minimal steps, so they're perfect for busy people, but you can definitely add to them or modify them according to your preferences. All right, let's jump on in. Okay, first we're gonna make some shredded curry chicken. Just take 3 or 4 chicken breasts and then cover them with a jar of salsa. And I know what you're thinking, a jar of salsa doesn't really scream curry dish, but if you look at the ingredients, they are pretty similar to what you would use in a curry. So this is just kind of a quick shortcut. Now you're gonna top that with some curry powder. I use about 2 tablespoons, but I measure with my heart a lot, not gonna lie. So now you're just gonna cook it for 3 to 4 hours on low or 6 or 7 hours on high. And then you're going to cube up an 8-ounce box of cream cheese and put it in there just so that it can soften. If you think far enough in advance, you can just let it soften on the counter, but I literally never do. So just put it in there and then you're just gonna let it soften for 10-ish minutes. And once it's softened, you can go ahead and shred your chicken and mix everything up. And this makes the most delicious, easy, creamy chicken curry. It's so amazing over some basmati rice. This is definitely a family favorite. If you like things a little bit spicier, you can add more spices. You can use a spicier salsa even. I absolutely love having leftovers of this dish. I like to make chicken curry wraps with maybe some cucumber, some hummus. So I usually serve it over basmati rice for dinner and then just have it in the fridge for just easy wraps throughout the week. Now we're gonna make a cheesy, delicious penne pasta, and I'm kind of new to making my pasta in the crock pot, and you guys, I am hooked. It's so easy and works so well. So for this recipe, you're just gonna take 2 jars of your favorite marinara sauce, add some cooked ground turkey or ground beef, and then take a 15-ounce container of ricotta and add that in. Because this recipe has ricotta, it kind of gives lasagna vibes without having all the steps and taking all the time that lasagna does. Also, you're going to grab a small bag of Italian blend cheese. I add about half the bag in now. And then I'm always going to add in some fresh spinach. Fresh spinach is just so delicious in here, and I was shocked. I have very picky kids, a 1 and a 3-year-old, and they both ate the fresh spinach. It was so great. I was worried that they were going to mix it out. My whole family absolutely loved this recipe. Now you're just going to add in some uncooked noodles, and you did hear me right, uncooked. The noodles actually cook in the crock pots. Perfectly fine, but the timing for a pasta crockpot meal will be different than a normal crockpot meal. You really only need to cook it on high an hour or on low about 3 hours. And this is just awesome if you have to throw your pasta dish in the crockpot and then take your kid to a sports practice or something. And then when you get home, your pasta dinner will be completely done. I also like to throw this in at nap time. So while the kids are napping, I can throw this in the crock pot. And on low, you can let it cook 3 hours. So then by around dinner time, it's all ready for everyone. So after mixing it up, I just kind of pat it down to make sure that all the noodles are going to be completely covered by some sort of liquid. You don't want any raw noodles sticking up without some sort of sauce covering, because you need the liquid for it to cook. And then just top with the other half of your Italian cheese blend. Cook it on low for around 3 hours or on high around an hour. And you will have this delicious cheesy penne pasta meal ready to go when you're ready to have dinner. This next recipe is a sausage, potato, green bean meal, and this is just so easy and delicious. Add in 2 large diced potatoes, top that with a package of roast turkey sausage. This is what I use. Then you're gonna take a can of green beans and liquid and all, just put that on top. Now you may have to add some water too if you have extra large potatoes or if you put in more potatoes than that. But most of the time, just the liquid in the green beans is all you need. And that's it. I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but the liquid and the potatoes just soak up the flavor of the sausage and it makes a delicious meal. You can definitely add to that if you want, but you really don't have to. This recipe is garlic butter, beef and potatoes. Just put in some fingerling potatoes, and then you can do an onion if you want. I don't always do an onion, but I had one that I needed to cook, so I added that in. Then take your beef stew meat, put that on top. Now, my secret ingredient for this recipe is steak seasoning, and I don't go light on it at all. So you can put a little salt and pepper on there and then go heavy with your steak seasoning. Here's the one I use. It's a grinder, which is kind of nice. And add all that you want. And then after that, of course, you're gonna add in some garlic. This is garlic butter, beef and potatoes. I always used minced garlic in my recipes. It's just so much easier. I do not have the time or energy to mince my own garlic, but hey, if that floats your boat, you can use fresh garlic too. You're gonna add at least 2 tablespoons of fresh garlic. You can do 3 if you're a garlic lover like me. And then you're gonna add in your butter. You chop up a stick of butter, put that all on top. And now you're gonna add in a cup of beef broth as just kind of the liquid to your dish. Cook this on high 3.5 to 4 hours or on low 7 to 8. You don't want this undercooked. You want the meat super, super soft. So if it's not super soft and kind of falling apart, I'd cook it a little bit longer. Now we're gonna make shredded Mexican chicken, and similar as before, you coat it with a jar of salsa, and then you're gonna take a packet of taco seasoning and just put that on top. You can mix it if you want, but you really don't have to. So put that in there, cook it on high for 3 to 4 hours or on low 6 to 8. And after it's done cooking, it should be super easy to shred, just be kind of falling apart. And this is something that can just be the base for so many different meals. I've made chicken tacos with it. I've made chicken quesadillas with it. We've done chicken burrito bowls. There's just really a lot of options that you can do with this, and the chicken has just a really nice flavor. It's moist as long as you don't overcook it. I would be careful, just kind of with all chicken dishes in general with the Crockpot, not to overcook it. You don't want it on low 9 hours. You don't want it over 4 hours on high, because then it can start to taste a little dry, even shredded up with all the sauce all over it. So be careful not to overcook, but this is just such a great option for easy Mexican dinner nights. This is an easy pot roast recipe. You're just gonna take a ranch packet and an onion soup packet, mix them up, and then give them a nice rub all over your meat. I've had people ask me a few times where I like to get my meat from. I like to order from Butcher Box. They have very high quality meat at an affordable price, and you can just order a big box. You can use one of their box options and get a big box of frozen meat sent right to your door. And then I like to just stuff my freezer full of it. Then in the morning when I'm thinking about dinner, I can pull something out, defrost it, and have an easy dinner idea. I like them so much, I became an affiliate, so I have that link in the description box if you're interested. So take your beef chuck roast and just rub it really well with your 2 soup mixes, and then you're gonna put your veggies in. Now, I'm someone who likes to put my veggies underneath my roast when making a Crockpot pot roast, because I feel like it just totally soaks up all of the flavor, and I like my veggies really soft in my chuck roast. I know other people maybe do it different or don't like their veggies as soft, maybe add it in later. I add it in from the beginning and put it under the roast. And you can also sear your roast before you do all this. I never do. It's an extra step, it's extra dishes, and I feel like my roast always turns out fine. But if you want to sear it, that means just like brown the front and back on a frying pan before you do all this. You can, it can lock in the flavors, but I personally never do, and it turns out fine. So I put in some carrots and chopped potatoes, then put my roast on top. I just kind of sprinkled any extra of my flavoring, put that on top, and then I add in 2 cups of beef broth. I just kind of put it in the corner there because I want my flavorings to stay on top of my roast. And then now you're just gonna cook it on high for 3 or 4 hours, or on low, 6 to 8. You just wanna make sure that when it's done, it is super tender. This last recipe I almost didn't include because it is so easy, but hey, what the heck, it might be helpful to someone. You just take a creamy Italian dressing. I like this Olive Garden one if a store near you has it. And then cook your chicken on low 3 or 4 hours, on high 6 to 8. And when it's done, top it with a little Parmesan cheese. I don't usually shred this, I just usually have it as a chicken dinner. But sometimes I chop it up and then put a little bit extra of the sauce on top, and it's just so good. I hope you found this video helpful. I just love my crock pot because I can throw everything in it earlier in the day and then focus on my family in the evening and still have a nice hot meal. If you have any ideas or modifications about my recipes, feel free to share them in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say, or if you just have any recipes that you would like to share, feel free to leave those in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. That really helps my channel. And I would love if you subscribed if you have not already. All right, I will see you in my next video.